Hey guys, welcome back. Today I will be showing you a guide on A3 Distortions. Keep in mind that this is a fun fight, but if you're new to the fight, it can be extremely painful. It takes a lot of coordination because your group will need to be split up into two. The first group will go into the bubble first, so make sure you designate who goes into the bubble and who's staying outside first. From there on, throughout the fight, you guys will swap positions, and the group outside will be ported in and the group inside will be ported out. The group going in first, make sure to have the highest DPS that you have and also the best tank that you have. This is because whoever's going in first is going to be, in my opinion, harder than the group going in second. This is because of the ad phase that the first group needs to face afterwards. It is much longer, and you need the best DPS available to nuke down those ads as soon as possible. So make sure you have high DPS and AoE for the first group. For this first group, we used a Warlock and a Berserker. This is to counter the long ad time and also to AoE and nuke down as much ads as possible. And also with the Berserker and Warlock combo, we're able to Curse and Burst with Fracture 300% damage, and you should be good to go on that. For our support, we used 3 Alchemists and 1 lightbinder, and I need to note that a lightbinder is a requirement for this fight, and I'll explain why later. You could actually use 2 lightbinders as well, so 2 Alchemists, 2 lightbinder, put 1 of each in each group. But for our setup, we use 3 Alchemists for more DPS. Whoever's outside first needs to do ads, and there are several types of ads that are respawning. 1, daggers, you need to kill those ASAP. These kelps here, you need to face away from the group, so have your tank do it so. This is because they do a frontal lightning blast that will shoot you and one-shot you if you're in front of it. It is unavoidable, so make sure you're always behind the ads and never behind the tank. Also, this fight is very RNG oriented as far as ad spawning, so be sure you're always near your tank, but again, always behind the ads so you don't get cleaved down. If the ads spawn on you, it could kill you immediately, so make sure you're always near the tank so you can AoE and grab the ads immediately. So try not to blame your tank if you die. If you die, it's more than likely your fault because you're not near the tank to let them pick it up. Keep in mind that, again, this is very RNG, so don't blame the tank. Throughout the fight, elite ads will spawn as well. As you can see, Tyra died in that video because he was in front of the boss and he got shot. So again, just be sure to never ever be in front of the ads. They will one-shot you. So when the elite 4 bars spawn, try to time your Curse and Burst accordingly and nuke it down ASAP. As you could see, now we're ported back in for the first time in this video with this group. During this time, you need to designate who gets the God Orb. So the first group that went in, I don't think you saw in the video, but we designated whoever is taking a God Orb first. For the first group, we had the Warlock taking it first, and then actually we had our tank took it, went God form and break it up. And we're saving the Berserker for last, and you'll see why at the end. For this group, however, we had 2 kinetics, so we had one of the kinetics just go God form first, that you could see here. Keep in mind that you can only go God form once per fight, so designate it accordingly. These pink blue balls need to be kicked out, so just simply go right next to it and press spacebar. This is so you're gonna give the team on the outside the big orbs. The big orbs will do a healing over time, so make sure you save that for the tanks when he gets low, and try to try not to waste it. So make sure you bounce it out and have them pick it up if they need it. For this phase, as you can see, one of kinetics went God form, and you need to time your burst, Curse and Burst, and all your buffs for that phase. For that phase, you're going God form because you need to break the shield on the boss as soon as possible. This is because he does an endless AoE and the bubble shrinks. So whoever's inside that small bubble will take a ton of damage unless the shield is broken. So time that immediately. And it works real well breaking bubbles with Berserker, so that's why we had a Berserker in the other team, just to break it fast, so he could do a ton of damage to the boss. Keep in mind that God form only lasts about a minute and a minute 30, so time that accordingly. The group going in here, myself, I had to take the God form because you're gonna pop God form between 3 people when you're inside the bubble. I took God form. I went to Berserker mode just to break the shield with Fracture, as you could see. But we had so much DPS, and I believe the shield was already broken by the time I went God form. So just keep in mind that if you're an Alchemist or if you're a tank and you're going God form, be aware that there's a limited timer and you need to go back, or else you're going to be stuck in whatever class you're in. Overall, again, this is a very fun fight because you actually get to use God form if you're designated still. Also, inside the bubble, you'll see pools of water. Make sure you're not standing on top of those because they do a pretty huge damage. So just try to avoid as possible. Also, when you're inside the bubble, make sure you're not in front of the boss or behind the boss. As you can see, he farted lightning from behind. So you need to make sure don't be in front of him because he does the charge back and will one-shot you, as you can see, and also the lightning in the back, as you see in the video. So try to be on the sides. Take health ores if you need, and you should be good to go. And time your buffs accordingly. And just keep DPSing the boss until you get ported out again. The group on the outside, like again, it's very strenuous because they're killing so much ads, there's so much going on the outside, there's so much RNG. Try to stack that group. I'm repeating again because it's very important. Try to stack that group and have ads killer, to be honest, at the very best. We had 2 kinetics in here because they're not really meant for ads, they're more like nuking down the boss, so you should be good to go on that. And we're gonna get ported out here soon. Once we get ported out, that's gonna be the last transition for the entire group. The first group will get ported back in, and that's their time to shine and kill the boss, get it down as fast as possible. And the boss was transition around 45-50 bars, depending on how fast you're killing the ads, and depending on among other things as well. And this is our last God Orb here. We're gonna have, I believe one of the other kinetics will take it and go God form. I believe I took the God Orb because Tyra actually died during the transition phase, so he got stuck outside. And then now we have the other Alchemist taking the God Orb, and he's gonna go Archer, and he's gonna nuke down that boss's shield. So during this fight, we actually were extremely gimped, you know, because we didn't have a DPS inside as well. But then again, the outside group had it easier because they had 3 DPS. But inside, it's more important to break the shield so you don't die to the AoE. So we actually had 4 people on the inside. So after this God form phase right here, we're gonna go into the last ad phase. And again, you can see Tyra dying again. So be sure, it's very RNG fight. It's just yeah, it's not good. Just especially if you're kinetics, worry about survival. This is an endurance fight and a survival fight. And obviously you have to nuke down and kill ads as much as possible, but that comes into play with survival. What do they say? A good offense is a good defense? Something like that? Or a good defense is a good offense? I don't know, but just to make sure. Alright, once you spawn outside, you see those onks over there. Make sure you're staying away from those. Do not touch those at all. Kite everything during this last phase. From this point of view, you can see the tank all just kite. The only thing you're killing in this phase is the smaller ads, so just kite everything else. You're kiting everything else because once the bubble goes down, you're gonna have all the ads will die immediately. They're gonna go poof and they're gonna die. So just kite everything. There's no need to DPS, especially if you have kinetics. and they're gonna go in for sledges, they will die to the Angs. As you can see, the Angs does a little whirlpool thing that will one-shot you, and also spawns whirlpool on the ground. So make sure you're never behind it. Make sure if you're an alchemist or support, make sure you stay near your tank and just shield the crap out of him. Keep him alive because he's gonna be kiting all these ads right here, and it's also save orbs for your tank if possible. And just have him kite the. Be sure to drop terminals when needed for the tank. This is a extremely hard fight for tanks. It takes so much skill level, and I appreciate all my tanks for doing it. Unfortunately, I would tank it myself, but it's much better to raid lead with Alchemist, and also just to time everything, all the buffs. So during this part of the fight, for the groups inside, you need to note a few things. One, the faster you kill the boss on the inside, the less painful it is for the outside people to kite the ads. Because again, as soon as the bubble drops, all the ads will die. So try to nuke the ads. Try to nuke the boss as soon as possible. On the inside, again, the rotation for God form will be, for our group, was Warlock, Tank going Berserk, or one of the support going Berserker or DPS, and have them nuke the boss as well. For this fight, you want to save the Berserker for the last phase that you will see coming up, and this is because during that phase the boss will pop up a shield as well, and the Berserker needs to break it immediately. So just keep kiting the ads for this phase, and you're good to go. As you can see, those whirlpools right there will insta-kill you if you're right next to it. Just make sure you're never ever on it, and always be in front of your tank, shielding him and giving him all kinds of buffs. Have your kinetics do the same. As you can see, the bubble is now down. Now we transition into the last phase, and all the ads have died. And the final God Orb will be popped, so make sure you designated someone to take that last. In this case, I believe our Berserker actually used the wrong rotation and actually took the God Orb while inside, where he was supposed to wait and grab the last one to break this shield. As you can see, the shield on the boss happens, and he pulls everyone in with the and while doing the AoE. This is once you take the God Orb form, you need to be a Berserker and break the shield. The faster you break the shield, the less time on the AoE that's gonna happen. For this phase, at the beginning of the video, I said Lightbinder is a requirement for this fight. This is because they have an ability that will counteract the pull-in. This ability is, I believe, is their X for the default hotkey. Once you use that, everyone is immune to CC, so all they do is get knocked down and not pulled in. During this phase, have the Berserker in God form break the shield like so you get back up much faster, and then time your curse and burst accordingly. So for this fight, this phase, all you need to worry about is the pools on the ground that will spawn, and make sure you move immediately once it's spawned. Also have your tank face it away from the group, because as you can see, the screech will confuse everyone if they're touched by it. Try not to stay on water pool and move with the rest of your group. Again, the pull in happened and we popped our Lightbinder and we're good to go. All you get is knocked down and you're good. You definitely don't want to be pulled in because you'll be stunned and the boss will just AoE around you and you can't do anything about it. Again, this is a survival fight, but you need to burn the boss as fast as possible. If I don't know if there's an erase timer, we never hit it, so there could be, but otherwise it's more of a survival fight. You need to play smart and don't be knocked down. I mean, don't be pulled in with a boss. So make sure you have a lightbinder, at least one, to counteract that. You could bring 2 lightbinders and have two of the buff to get knocked down, the immunity to CC buff to get knocked down. Also keep in mind that the timer for the knockdown and pull in is not 100% accurate, so it's kind of random as well, but it happens after screeches. So after screech you need to time it correctly. Usually it's about 4 seconds or 6 seconds, so the time varies. So it's good to have 2 light binders, so one can pop it at 4 seconds and one can pop it at 6 seconds. In this fight we only used one, so we were lucky enough to just time it all perfectly. So every pull in we just get knocked down, not pulled in. So this is the last phase of the fight. That's all you do. Just time your curse and burst accordingly and you're good to go. Just rinse and repeat until the boss is dead pretty much from this point on. But the key to this fight, this last phase, is the lightbinder CC immunity. The passphrase is Biotrap. Well, looks like that's all there is to it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this this video guide, and I hope it helps your guild. As always, if you have any feedback or comments, feel free to post below. Thanks again for watching.